Good morning. It is Wednesday morning. We got a bunch of shit to do today. Well, I have too many cameras around here is what I have. Registration for the dually. It's all insurance paperwork. Somewhere sitting here. Registration for each trailer. I have to get the inspections done on the trailers today, and I have to get the inspection done on the camper. And Ryan decided last night that he wanted to go buy a new trailer, and we're gonna go check that out today too. But in the meantime, I need to pack up some stuff.
I've been flying from town to town, from London to Taiwan. I've been all around the globe trying to protect your soul.
Anybody ever move and you can't get the stuff you're used to growing up with in the new area that you move to because they just don't sell it there? Well, in my area, that's three things. That's Saleen's Hot Dogs, Bison Chip Dip, and Weber's Mustard. So I have a friend that lives in Florida. We're gonna send him some Weber's Mustard. Two 16-ounce jars. He has 32 ounces. So I gotta make a shipping label for this, and we're gonna get this sent out to our good friend Jordan. I don't know if you can tell, but look at the frost out there on my truck, on the headlights for the plow. Sun is shining, but it's frosty. It's been like 60 or just above for the last 3 days, and then today we get this frost. Yesterday it poured rain all day, which was still like 56, 57 degrees, but it cooled it right down with that rain, made it damp. But tomorrow is supposed to, I think today's high is 50 or 48, something like that. Tomorrow's supposed to be back almost 60 again, so the spring might be coming a lot faster than we've ever had around here, which I'm more than happy for. So the problem is, I believe after I put that new carburetor on, I put it on and I didn't mess with it. I didn't adjust the carburetor, put it on stock just how it came out of the box. I think that it needs to be adjusted because I think that that engine is idling too high. Once I have full throttle on, it just sounds to me like it's idling way too high. So what you do is you get yourself one of these fancy little guns. It shoots infrared to tell you the temperature of the engine, and it will also tell you what the RPMs are when you shoot the laser at the engine. So I'm gonna fire this thing back up, and I already looked at the specs. Max output RPMs at full throttle for this machine and this engine is supposed to be 3,600 RPMs. So we are going to start it back up and throttle it all the way up, and we're gonna see what it's at. So this is how stupid I am. These things happen. So I pulled this off and I was looking at it, and I don't know if you can really tell, but right down there, there's the retention spring. And the retention spring was not in that clip. It was dangling down there, which was allowing it to max all the way out when you had it pushed up to full throttle, which made it sound like that. Now with that spring back on there, it sounds much better. The problem is, I don't think that spring is on correctly anyway. I think that I put it on wrong, so it looks to me like it's probably going to pop off there again. So what I'm going to do is take it off there and put it back on the right way. Okay, what I want to talk to you guys about today is knowing when something is out of your realm or too big for you. And I got a call from this development company yesterday, day before, maybe it was yesterday.
about this property, this newer property just got built in my area, and it's a set of condos, and there's one set of them that face one street, and then there's the in between the condos, and there's another set on this side that face another street. So there's streets on both sides. And when they originally called me, I thought, you know, this could be nice. It could be a nice little contract to have. I don't usually work with property management companies. I have two that I work with that I've worked with for years, and I never wait. I invoice them at the end of every month, and they click the link and pay it online right away. I never wait for my money. They've been great. That's usually not the case with property management companies. But to the point, they sent me the addresses, and I went and looked at them, and the lady sent me another email and told me, you know, open this document. This is the criteria for the whole thing. So after I'd already looked at them, I kind of established a base price and what I would charge for weekly service and to landscape the property and then do spring and fall cleanup, which was basically what she had said to me on the phone she wanted. Well, once I read through the whole document she sent me, which was like 5 pages long, it was insanely detailed. Detailed to the point where it had to be, the sidewalks had to be edged every single week. No big deal. I do that on all my properties. And the flower beds need to be edged weekly. Again, no big deal. Once I put in that nice new edge, I use these here. This is what I use to put in the initial edge on flower beds on all my properties in the beginning of the year, and then I maintain them with a trimmer. And keep them nice and clean looking for the whole year. Again, no big deal. The mowing, no big deal. The fall cleanup, spring cleanup, no big deal. It said in there that all areas facing any vehicles or roadways must be bagged weekly. Again, no big deal. That's what I would have done with them anyway. There's a lot of sidewalks, a lot of small grass areas, and a lot of parking spaces. So I would definitely bag them anyway with the walker or the accelerator on like the grandstand, for instance. But then it started getting kind of picky. It said that the grass from the beginning of the season, which is usually mid to end of April for us, all the way until the end of June, it had to be cut at exactly 2.5 inches. At the end of June, the decks had to be raised to 3 inches and cut at exactly 3 inches all the way until September, to where they're dropped back down to 2.5 until the end of the season. Now, in my area, the standard height for cutting grass for almost everybody is between 3 and 3.5. That's just where everybody cuts at. Nobody in my area cuts lower. I know in some areas the normal is like 2.5, but it's just not in my area. So there was that restriction there. Not a big deal. I could work around it, but it was telling me right off the bat they're getting kind of picky on it. They wanted the flower beds weeded every single week. They wanted the mulch turned over at least twice a month to refreshen it and give it that fresh look. And there's a lot of flower beds. They wanted in the beginning of the season and mid-season, they wanted all the flower beds sprayed with a weed killer to kill all the weeds, and then you just pull whatever weeds, you know, each week when you go to service the property, you pull the weeds each week, whatever's left that the weed killer didn't kill off. And then each time you spray, you have to file the type of spray that you use, the date that you sprayed it, and the wind conditions, weather conditions, etc. with them, and also with DEC. And then it went on to say that each employee I have on the property must have an outside source background check, and I have to give that background check criteria, the paperwork for it, to this management group, and for every employee that I would have on the property. It had to have, what were some of the other restrictions? All the bushes have to be trimmed every other month. They wanted them all trimmed every other month. All trees had to be trimmed and pruned every other month. All debris, garbage, sticks, anything else like that has to be picked up from the property on a weekly basis. Not a big deal. I do that on a few of my commercial properties. There was so much more. I'm just giving you the gist of this. There was a lot more to it. But the reason is I'm just gonna kind of get to the main point here. There's so much more. They probably covered 1.5 pages of it out of the 5 pages. The restrictions were just endless, and they kept on going on and on, which told me right off the bat that usually when there's a lot of rules like that, they're going to try to drive you down. So in other words, we'll say that the management company gets that contract for that property for $10,000. We'll just say, okay, for $10,000 for the year. They're going to bid it out to smaller companies like me for, we'll say, $7,000. Okay. Each month when I invoice them, they're going to take that whole criteria stuff and they're going to nitpick the living shit out of it. And they're going to make sure it's to a T. And they're going to say, well, it doesn't look like the mulch was exactly turned over in these areas. So they're going to say, we're going to knock a little bit off here. And they're going to try to drive you down every month. I've seen it happen so many times. The other thing is, it's only Billy and I. So I don't have the time to put in on a property like that on a weekly basis with just him and I. So what I did was I emailed her back and I said, thank you very much. I appreciate the offer, but I downsized my company a few years ago. It's me and one other person. And I just believe that a property that size with the work that you have detailed requires more manpower, and I don't think it's in my best interest or yours for me to go ahead and bid and accept this property, but I greatly appreciate you offering it to me. And then I referred them to a company in my area that I think would be a good fit for their company. And that guy, you may already know this because he watches my videos, but he has an extremely large company. He's been in business for years and years and years. His dad started it, and I believe in him and his brother run it now. But it was too big for me, and it's not a smart business decision for me. If I had taken on that, I could have gotten myself in a lot of trouble real quick, and to the point where I wouldn't have been able to keep up with the work that's involved there. And especially for the first 2 months of the season, I don't have Billy. He's still in school, or at least, about the first 2 months. So it would have been only me to handle all of that on top of what I already have. So the smartest decision for me was to not take it. Now, some people will say, well, why didn't you just take it and then hire on more help? Well, that's stupid. In my experience, taking on work just to employ people is the dumbest thing you can do. In other words, I've had times in the past where I had all these employees and I took on more work just to give them something to do, so to speak. I really wasn't making that much profit on it. And you could bid it up in a way that you can still make a good profit and afford to pay them, but there's a lot more that comes in with that. And you guys know that right now I am just not looking to go back into employees. I am perfectly happy with having Billy with me and just him and I. I can handle everything that I have on my own, and which I do in the beginning of the season and the end of the season, up until the point where I start doing cleanups with Roscoe, and then him and I do them together, as you guys know. But I am more than happy with where it's at right now. I did pick up a handful of new lawns for this season, so we'll make the first month and a half, 2 months a little bit longer on me, but no big deal. And then when Billy gets out of school, it reduces my workload, and it makes things a little bit easier. But you got to know when taking on a bigger property just because you want it. Like, I really wanted it. It was a nice property, would have been a nice one to mow, would have been fun, easy to mow, but there was just too many restrictions that came with it for me to do it by myself or just Billy and I. And if weather would have came in, it would have put everything else on my list behind, and it just would have put me in a bind more often than not. I've been down that road before, and I could easily see where it was going. So you got to know when to make that decision and know that something is just not right for you and your business. As always, guys, like I always say, you don't have to do it my way. If you insist on coming onto my channel and talking crap because you think that I'm telling you to do it my way, you're dead wrong. You should go somewhere else and not even watch my videos. But if you come here just to listen to what I do and get ideas and maybe take a little piece of this or that and decide that it'll work for you and discard the rest, then that's great too. But I'm not implying that you have to do it my way, and I'm not implying my way works for you. It's just what I do and how we do it.